Mythic! Mythic with a 4 rare deck. Let's go. Yeah! Smashing. Let's go. Hey, it's Mythic Mike. We're going to go through these cards and why I think they're the best ways in each color to destroy mono red Leyline, one of the most annoying decks. First, let me explain the issue with Leyline to begin with. All right, so why is mono red Leyline an issue? Well, this is not the same as Slick Shot Fling that existed last set where you could just deal with it with Go for the Throats and removal. Leyline, right, is an issue. Turn one, it can be down for free, copying your instants or sorceries. This is my version, only 15 lands, a bunch of 1-drops. It's sick. Check it out if you haven't. You could play a few more lands and still have Slick Shot in there. But the issue with this deck is turn inside out as well as Felonious Rage. Because since we're doubling our instants and sorceries with Leyline, it's what it does, you can play turn inside out to give a creature +3/+0, and when it dies, Manifest Dread, make a 2/2, or the same thing with Felonious Rage, right? +2/+0 in haste, and when it dies, make a 2/2. And if you have 2 lands up and 2 creatures, you can play this and have 4 triggers. You can put it on the same creature, you can split it up. So then if you put it on the same creature and they kill your creature, fine, you killed their creature with your Go for the Throat. But they make 3 or 4 2/2s out of nowhere. And then they have 3 or 4 2/2s like turn 2 or turn 3. And they're going to beat you with those because they still have combat tricks, right? So you can't just kill their stuff anymore because all their small creatures come back even bigger if you kill them. So obviously Bounce and Exile, which we'll get into, are the ways I'm going to go through. There's a bunch of cool tricks, but I wanted to just let you guys know what the issue is and why you can't just deal with it with removal like you could with Slick Shot Fling of old. All right, let's go. All right. First with blue, how to crush mono red Leyline. One of the best colors. I've been playing blue a lot. Just splash it in if you have to, because red will build their creatures up with different combat tricks. And if you kill their stuff, they get creatures back from all their tricks, which is really the problem. Bouncing is the answer. Bounce with this. Bounce with this is just 1 mana, and if it's attacking and there's surveils, you throw 8 of these in, and you've probably dealt with mono red, or at least, done a great job trading against it. And if you throw in this as well, I mean, you can just throw these 12 cards in, and you pretty much just beat mono red every time. This is a sick card, 2 mana, Flash Vigilance. When it enters, tap target creature and opponent controls and put a stun counter. And for 2, you can shuffle this in and shuffle their card, so it's kind of like removal. But what's really nice is if you're bouncing their stuff and then you're also doing this, sometimes they play their combat tricks before they even attack in, especially on their mouse, right? Their 2/2 mouse, because they want to see what they hit. So we can actually tap their things down. They have limited creature in their deck. That's the issue. So we're bouncing, tapping, and then this thing has 2/1 vigilance. It's enough tempo to really crush them, and they'll have, by the end of these cards, a few creatures they can play, probably no more combat tricks, and you'll just make them cry. And that's what we're trying to do to them right now. Now, black. Black traditionally was good against this. It was good against the Slick Shot Fling deck, but mono red Leyline is a different animal entirely. So I've shown why Disfigure is way better than Cut Down, because they're buffing the power of a creature, so you can still often kill its toughness with this, and you can use this, even if their creature gets too big on toughness, it's not dead. The problem is this is no longer as good because, like I said, they play these tricks, Felonious Rage and the Manifest Dread one that makes 2/2s when they die, and they might, because they're copying their spells, make like 4 2/2s off the thing you kill. So killing their stuff is not what it used to be. A 1 mana one still is reasonable like this, so still put them in, but it's just not that great. And the 2 mana removal, like Go for the Throat, you're going to get blown out if you try to play that. So if you are playing a lot of mono red and if you can fit it in, this is the one to play, at least when targeting mono red, because this exiles their creature if it has, and you can only target a creature with a mana value 3 or less unless you get poison counters and stuff, which we're not doing. But no matter how much they buff their mono red stuff and are going to make creatures when they die, exile deals with it. So this is just a sick one. If you are losing a lot to mono red, throw some of these in. This is interesting. I haven't really done it, but it is interesting, right? 2 mana, 2/2. You can buff it. And if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. So, I mean, it is interesting that they can't sacrifice their Cacophony Scamp to make a bunch of 2/2s because it exiles, right? A lot of the death triggers don't work. You can use normal removal. Worth considering. I'm not sure this is great, but I just wanted to point out this does exist. Really, it's Anoint the Infliction is the way to deal with it. And enough of these. But we have one more trick that I have been using. Harvester of Misery. It's a 5 mana creature. But for 2 mana, you can discard it, and target creature gets -2/-2. So it's just a more expensive Disfigure. But what's nice is you can play like Disfigure, Anoint the Infliction, and Harvester, because Harvester is also a creature, so it's not dead. And even better, when you play Harvester alongside Overlord, you know, it's a 5/5 if you pay 5, and then you mill cards and get back a creature. Or for 2, you mill 4 cards, get back a creature, and then it ticks down eventually, right? But you can play this for removal and then play this and get it back to replay it as removal again, or play it on the big side. So these two together let you play 4 of these to get more removal effects against mono red without it being dead in any way, because it can always be a creature and you can get it back. And this should honestly go in most black decks because it's crazy. So interesting trick. Obviously it doesn't exile, but I mean, it's still nice to just have more -2/-2 tricks against that deck. Now, white really goes the exile route. Probably the best way to deal with it. 3 damage, exile their creature. No 2/2s are popping out. Awesome. This is good too. The only issue is it is 2 mana, and there's some decks this will be dead against, but look, it exiles their attacking creature. It's all about the exile game. This is actually really, really nice. Even though it's not instant speed, it's probably one of the only non-instant speed things I have on this list. Oh, I'm going to move my face over to here, actually. But it does exile anything, including their Leyline, which is pretty cool, including a creature. And exile is obviously huge. Plus, it gives your creature +1/+0 and lifelink and ward 2, so it's harder for them to target it, even with Cacophony or something on a death trigger or a fling. And the lifelink obviously is huge against mono red. So this is very good. It's a good answer. I mean, if you play like some bounce alongside this in a blue-white deck, check it out. I've been doing it. Like if you play these along with this, I don't think you're going to lose to mono red again, which is pretty nice. And then you still have a ton of room to play nice creatures, right? Soul Partition, worth considering, right? Bounces their thing. It's more expensive in certain decks. Similarly, this can exile their thing. I'm not in love with this card, but look, it exiles a non-token creature, and you can make it go away forever if you give them a tapped fish. So is relevant. Now, giving them a tapped fish isn't great because mono red does, as long as it has a creature, can just keep pumping it. So I say this is the worst of them, but is notable. With the best, I mean, Elspeth Smite's the best, and Sheltered Ghost. These are the ways to do it in white, to be honest. Even just playing 4 of these and 4 of these, you'll be very good. Green. I'm trying to make a mono green deck, but honestly, this is an issue. There's no 1 mana spell that kills their stuff because you need a creature down. Like, this is just an example. There's a few spells like this where this one's new, tap 1 or 2, untap creatures you control. They deal damage equal to their power to target creature and opponent controls. You can't do it turn 1 because you don't have a creature down. Mono green needs a spell, please Wizards, where it says 1 mana, deal half the damage, like look in your hand and pick a creature, then deal half its power to target creature. You know, some way where you can leverage cards in your hand. So you don't actually need to, but look, they don't have that card. So the best you can do, I put Patchwork Beastie because it's interesting. It's a big creature. This is, you know, you can't do anything until you get Delirium, which video is not about. It mills things, but you can like turn 1 play this, and then you can still use it even though it can't attack or block to do tricks like this, right? Or to do the best trick. This is probably the best thing you can do against it, but it doesn't exile. So, I mean, this is like an instant speed fight, right? And so like turn one, you could play this, then you can blow them out because instant speed, you can do 3 damage, right? This is the biggest one drop you can do. So look, that's really what you're going to be doing. And put some big blockers out. I don't know, man. Mono green can't deal with it. I'm not going to lie. Also, Haywire Might is interesting. You gain life when it dies, and for 1, exile target non-creature artifact or non-creature enchantment. So you can kill their Leyline turn 2 and gain 2 life. Probably one of the better ways to deal with it. Realistically, mono green's going to take an L against mono red. You're going to have to mix some other colors in. Is what it is. Red can deal with it. First of all, Torch the Tower is one of the best ways, right? 2 damage and exile it. Or you bargain, sacrifice an enchantment, token, artifact, does 3 damage, which comes up. We also have this new one that I think will be played more as if mono red Leyline is taken off, where it deals 3 damage at instant speed to a creature or planeswalker and exile it. So, right? Exile. I do put Shock in here just to note that you can often get away with putting in a few more removal in red, even though it doesn't exile it, because you can go face too, right? So like you can play 4 of these and 4 of these, and that might be enough 8 1-drop removal. And this also can hit other things, right? So I think red can do with it. The only color that can is this. Everything else can. The best, surprisingly, is blue. I promise you, blue is the best, blows them out entirely. Well, I hope you learned something here. Go off and brew. Check out some of my unique bangers. Like and subscribe. Let's go, baby.